Tonight on KGW News, the frantic search for survivors, including 90 missing Americans amidst the devastation in Nepal.
And out in Gresham, the second cougar sighting in less than a week.
Never seen any cougars in my backyard.
Plus, call it the mother of all traffic alerts with a more than month-long interstate shutdown that has leaders asking you to change your plans.
We're asking everyone to shift your trip.
And later, the teenage heroes honored for saving a family who nearly drowned on the river.
We were just pulling the girls on, and we were just checking on the father. It was just a lot happening at once.
But first at 11, a second cougar spotted just this week near local elementary schools, with police warning people to be on alert. We're glad you're with us tonight. I'm David Mulco. Both sightings were in Gresham, number 1 near 170th and I-84 on Monday. That cougar was injured and euthanized. And then last night, a second cougar was reported in a different part of town. Catherine Cook's here with more on the latest warning. Catherine.
David, that second cougar is still out there tonight. Police are asking people to be vigilant, and if they see the animal walking in their neighborhood, to call 911.
We see all kinds of wildlife out in the field.
On Wednesday night, Gresham police responded to reports of a cougar sighting in this green space near Southeast 19th and Fleming, right next to Hogan Cedars Elementary. Security video shows police searching for the cat, which they spotted in a tree. But after consulting with Oregon State Police, officers say they chose to leave the cougar there because they weren't equipped to remove it.
Never seen any cougars in my backyard.
Neighbor Johnny Day says he's not surprised by the sighting and not too concerned for now.
If something came a little too close, then maybe, but I'm not really that worried about it. I think they're probably going to be more scared of us than we are of it.
This is the second cougar sighting in Gresham in less than 1 week. On Monday night, someone spotted a cougar wandering near Wilkes Elementary School. That's about 10 miles northwest of the second cougar sighting. Police later found the animal behind the school with an injured hind leg and euthanized it. ODFW says it's unlikely the two sightings are related. They also noted it's not unusual for animals like cougars to pass through relatively urban spaces. In 2014, I was among the crowd covering one of the most public cougar sightings, this one in the Park Rose neighborhood. We watched for hours as the cougar sat curled up in this giant cedar.
We looked up and there's this huge tail hanging down and a paw.
I'm trying to see the cat.
Wildlife officials tranquilized the cougar, which eventually fell out of the tree. So what happens if you actually encounter a cougar? Wildlife officials say do not approach it for any reason. Stay calm, make yourself appear large, and if attacked, fight back. David.
All good advice, and loving that 2014 throwback. Wow. Thanks, Catherine. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. The final victim of the happy face killer has been identified more than 30 years after she was found dead. Her name is Lydia Jane Wade McWhorter, and she was from Texas. Keith Hunter Jesperson confessed to killing her and 7 other women between 1990 and 95 in 6 states, including Oregon and Washington. Jesperson was dubbed the happy face killer because he drew smiley faces on letters they sent to the media and police. He is currently serving multiple life sentences. New tonight, a judge is once again blocking President Trump's executive order limiting mail-in voting. The 2-week hold issued tonight follows a new lawsuit from several states, including Oregon and Washington. The states had already sued, but the Supreme Court this week said that lawsuit was premature because the Postal Service had not issued a formal rule on how ballots were to be handled. That has now happened, so the legal fight essentially restarts. Election officials caution it is too late to make any changes before the midterm elections. The Postal Service, however, says it will not deliver mail-in ballots unless states provide a list of voters who should receive them and format the envelopes in a certain way. And Multnomah County commissioners have voted to delay an increase in the preschool for all tax. The 0.8% jump for some income earners has now been delayed until 2028 at the earliest. An advisory group recommended the delay to give the county time to, quote, resolve cost questions. They also say the projected number of students who could enroll has decreased and a tax hike isn't needed. The tax applies only on earnings above $125,000 a year or $200,000 for those filing jointly. Let's switch to a look at the night sky from a couple hours ago, where we were treated to an incredible show with the moon glowing red during a lunar eclipse. And the best part, no clouds blocking that picture perfect view. Matt joining us now. I have to say pretty spectacular, especially with that sliver of bright light at the top, right?
Yeah, I love that scene too with Mount Hood there right as the moon was coming up just to the south of Mountain from Pittock Mansion from our photographers up there. Here's a picture for you from Kalama, Washington. Rob Clausen took this. And as you mentioned, David, just bright right at the top because we did not have a total lunar eclipse, about 96 to 93%. So that upper limb, as we say, of the moon was not eclipsed by the Earth's shadow, but the rest of it was. And it was pretty dramatic. It was pretty cool to see. Lunar eclipses are always, and let's go back. I got a time lapse here for you if I can get it queued up properly. Here we go. So this was the moonrise. There's Mount Hood. Moon's going to come up right about in here. A little camera shake because of the wind, but there goes the moon with its eclipsed part covered by the Earth's shadow. No longer is it eclipsed. Our Wells Fargo sky cam, it's clear and 64 degrees. And up at Timberline, it's 52. It was in the mid 40s this morning. Tomorrow morning, hood to coast begins, and it's going to be chilly up there, but a mostly sunny Friday for the runners and walkers. Coast rains, though, that's a different story tomorrow night. Drizzle, cool temperatures, 40s, low 50s, so make sure you have warm clothing and a rain jacket or a poncho, whatever you like to wear when it's raining or drizzling out there. And by the time the runners are back to the beaches in the sunshine on Saturday, it should be in the sunshine and temperatures there in the low 60s. For us tomorrow, just like today, cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon. But David, there's actually a pretty good chance of rain next week, and not just drizzle. We're talking our most substantial rain in months, and that should have a positive impact on the wildfire season if it actually comes to bear. We'll talk more on that later.
I'm intrigued because we definitely need it.
Yes,
Thanks,
we do.
Matt. All right, to the mother of all traffic alerts now with a looming shutdown of southbound I-5 near the Rose Quarter 24/7 and for more than a month. Yeah, officials are already warning drivers to figure out their backup plans. Starting September 11th, all southbound lanes of I-5 through the Rose Quarter will close. Highway traffic will be detoured over the Fremont Bridge. Local traffic can exit at Broadway Wyther. If you need to get on I-84 from southbound, you'll need to loop back all the way around the Marker Bridge or use surface streets. ODOT warning that southbound backups could stretch across the Columbia, and they worry it's going to be even worse if folks don't plan ahead of time. TriMet says it's planning to run trains with larger capacity. The city is offering discounts on e-bikes and scooter rides. ODOT says closing all lanes for 5 weeks was cheaper, safer, and would ensure the project did not drag on for months. There is one catch, though. Crews will likely tackle the northbound lanes. Yeah, remember those? Sometime in mid to late 2027. We'll do it all over again. All right, to the trade war that's heating up now between the U.S. and Canada. And one small local business, Portland Syrups, that says it is caught in the middle. Blair Best explains why that company's years-long relationship with Canada has just unraveled.
In this Southeast Portland warehouse, locally brewed drink mixers are bottled, labeled, and shipped by hand.
We had been spending a couple years building our Canadian business.
Portland Syrup's CEO, Dan McLaughlin, says that meant creating bilingual packaging for one of the largest Canadian online retailers and up to 150 Canadian grocery stores.
So we had just, over the past month, we had just finished all that. So we had invested and had the labels ready, had everything good to go, had the thumbs up from the buyers, had POs in hand. And then it's like, oh, wait. There's new tariffs, we just got to cancel everything.
Last week, the Trump administration imposed new 50% tariffs on Canadian goods.
We need to send a message loud and clear to the Prime Minister of Canada. Stop taking advantage of America. It's over. We expect fairness in our trade policy.
In Portland, Dan braced for the fallout.
This is going to affect all of the small retailers in America who rely on, selling goods across the border.
On Tuesday, Canada retaliated.
Canada will meet the moment.
Slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. products exported to Canada. And on that very same day, Portland Syrups lost more than $50,000 in Canadian orders.
But it's not because of the actual tariff number. It's because the buyers say that there's a general sentiment in Canada to boycott American goods.
A boycott hurting a small business right here in Portland.
So when you have things in your books that you're counting on and they disappear, then it definitely makes business a lot harder.
Portland Syrups does import some ingredients from outside the country. Dan says last year's tariffs cost them more than $100,000. That's money he does not expect to get back, just adding to the company's losses and the uncertainty ahead. Blair Best, KGW News.
Let's talk about our record-breaking wildfire season now with a pair of fires, the Austin and the Narrows, now shutting down part of a Clackamas County highway. We're talking about Highway 224, about 15 miles southeast of Estacada. Some level 3 go now. Evacuations are in effect, covering an estimated 100 structures, impacting about 30 people. And there are new closures, too, including Lake Harriet, Bagby Hot Springs, and campgrounds along the Clackamas east of Carter Bridge. At this point, there is no containment on either fire. Meanwhile, the governor, along with the state fire marshal and others, flew over the Austin fire today. Kotek, who is up for re-election, saying the state can do better next year and suggested a training pipeline for fire crews be established year-round. She also said FEMA money is once again flowing and that large fires are getting matching dollars from the federal government.
Please be part of the solution. Please be signed up for alerts. If you're in a fire-prone area, be ready to evacuate if necessary. And please, particularly as we head into the Labor Day weekend, and if you're camping or doing anything on your property, please be fire safe. Do not start a fire.
Good reminder, it includes not parking on dry grass, securing chains so they do not drag, and practicing grill and barbecue safety. New at 11, 2 Cowlitz County teenagers were honored tonight for saving a family who says they nearly drowned in the Lewis River.
Thank you. Because of you, my family is here.
Gratitude from a mother who nearly lost her 2 young daughters and husband earlier this summer on the Lewis River at Paradise Point State Park July 19th when they ran into trouble.
2 young girls stepped off a submerged ledge while waiting and began struggling to stay afloat. Their father rushed into the river to help out, but also entered deep water, where he fought to keep himself and both girls above the surface.
The Clark Cowlitz fire chief describing the scene while honoring the 3 heroes. The first, Sabrina Taylor, who spotted the family struggling.
That all of them were bobbing up and down.
And while she was too far away, her 16-year-old nieces were nearby on their paddleboards.
And I said, girls, get to them now.
And we both went directly towards them. We were just pulling the girls on, and we were just checking on the father. It was just a lot happening at once.
Jesse Dorsey and Alexis Dubé got the girls on board, while the father was able to swim back to shore.
Yeah, it's definitely not an exaggeration. If you guys would have been there, we wouldn't be here right now. Because there's no way I could fight any longer.
Both teenagers receiving the fire chief's life-saving award, while a letter of commendation went to their aunt.
It makes it a lot easier for us to do our job if somebody did it for us. And they did a great job that day.
Battalion Chief David Greenwood, who arrived on scene shortly after the family was saved, is also grateful.
People just don't do these things anymore. They don't step in.
Though for these lifesavers, it just came naturally.
I was always raised when I was younger to just pay attention to your surroundings.
I think it's just instinct to, if someone needs help, to help them.
Just instinct. The teens and their aunt are also hopeful hearing this story will convince others to be more careful and to wear life jackets while on our lakes and rivers.